Welcome back, everyone. We do have a tornado warning issued into Tuscarawas County. Now, what prompted this warning was a feature on radar that we call a hook echo. When we were looking at this about little after the 5 o'clock hour, you see this is live radar a little after 5 o'clock, and the hook echo here, which I could draw for you, is what prompted this warning. You can see the hooking here. See that bit of a hook that we're seeing on radar. That, in addition to what velocity was picking up, which we go back at about that same hour, looking a little bit after 5 o'clock, we're seeing some rotation looking here. Again, keep in mind we're looking at velocity. Green is the winds blowing towards the radar site coming out of Pittsburgh. Red is away, so green towards, red away. If you draw this is the circulation. This is radar indicator rotation. That, in addition to the hook echo that we saw on radar, both indications that that storm had begun to rotate, which has prompted this tornado warning. And we go back and look at this tornado warning. It is in fact until 5:30. Thankfully, the hook echo no longer present. Rotation does look to be weakening, but the tornado warning is still in effect. So we should be treating this with such that the tornado warning is in effect, that a tornado is still possible. So you need to be seeking shelter. If you're tuning in, again, this is Tuscarawas County. You can see where it is currently located right now. That's Uricksville coming out of Janaden Hutton. This is going to be moving towards south of Sherrodville, not towards Sherrodville, south of that, but towards Bowerston. This is north of Nottingham. This is towards Deersville. This is going towards the Tappan Lake area, moving out of Tuscarawas County and into the western portion, especially northwestern portion of Harrison County. This tornado warning is in effect until 5:30 p.m. Now, if you're tuning in from this location and you're wondering what you need to do right now with this tornado warning in effect, you need to find your safe place. Now, the best area to be, obviously, is in the basement, but if you don't have a basement, you just need to get to the lowest floor. If you have a one-story home, obviously you're already there. Two-story, just get to the first floor. Now, once you're there, you want to find an interior room. The most interior portion of that home better, and if you do have an interior room, obviously that's going to be the best. Now, the whole idea of that, obviously, is to have the most walls or the most protection between you and the outside. In the event of a tornado and the debris that's getting thrown, you have more of a shelter from that debris. Now, if you are tuning in from such like a mobile home, obviously that's not an ideal situation because you want to find a sturdy structure, but even in that event, you can find something interior, whether it's the bathtub or the interior hallway, and then in that event to improve your safety odds, you're going to want to even get like a twin mattress or something that you can easily move and throw over yourself, a bicycle helmet, anything you have to help protect yourself. But obviously the first, get indoors, avoid the windows. That's going to be a weak structure. Debris can easily get through a window compared to an exterior wall, so that's going to be some of your weaker structures. The same thing with a garage door if it happens to be connected to your home. Those are some of the weak points where the wind can get into a bit easier. And of course, if it goes through the window, then you can have some shards of glass mixed in with the debris. It's just not a good situation. So those are the safety tips if you are tuning in from this tornado warning, where you should be seeking shelter. We'll go back to the nearest radar here. We'll look at the live radar and see how this warning is still shaping up. Again, this was in effect until 5:30 p.m. And as we're loading radar here, you can see it's still in effect till 5:30 p.m. The storm now located over Uricksville. Again, these areas that are under this warning, the areas where the storm is going, this is not impacting New Philadelphia or Sherrodville. This storm is now south, both of those locations. This is going to be moving more towards Bowerston. This is going to be moving towards the Tappan Lake area, moving towards Deersville. Any of those locations where you know you live very close to one of those locations. This is north of Nottingham, moving through the eastern portion of Tuscarawas County right now, but those areas into the northwestern portion of Harrison is where the storm is going. Even though it does include a sliver of Carroll County, the storm is going to be impacting more of northwestern Harrison County as it continues to move more towards the east-southeast. And again, right now located over Uricksville. And certainly the hook echo that was present with this cell, looking back right there, you can see that well-established hook echo is no longer showing up on radar. A good indication that the rotation that was present is beginning to weaken, but the tornado warning remains in effect. As long as it does, we need to treat this as, the possibility of a tornado touching down. This tornado warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. We'll go towards our velocity product, and we'll look at some of the rotation going back closer to when the warning was prompted. You can see some rotation showing up on radar, especially there. Seeing that couplet, and again, drawing, if we were to draw this, green going towards radar site, red away, this is your rotation. And then if we erase this and track this rotation moving towards Yorksville, does look to be weakening a bit, thankfully, right? We don't want this rotation to keep tightening. So it's a good indication with the lack of a hook echo, the weakening of this rotation, that overall the overall rotation of this system is weakening, which is good. But this tornado warning remains in effect, and as it does up until 5:30, or in the event that it is canceled, we should be treating this as this storm is still capable of producing a tornado. And again, it's located over Yorksville. Still water, it's going out, moving out of the Janae-Hutton area, moving towards Yorksville. Still water towards Tappan Lake area, towards Deersville. This is going towards likely near Bowerston, Scioto. This is moving into the northwestern portion of Harrison County. This will not be impacting Carroll County. This is going to be south of Carroll County, even though there is a sliver of Carroll County that is under a tornado warning. This is going to be impacting more of Harrison, and it is currently impacting Tuscarawas County. And you can see we'll go back to the Earth's radar, where the storm is currently located, again moving through the Yorksville area, moving towards Bowerston, especially south of that, really taking more of an aim towards the Tappan Lake area. Certainly want to be getting off that lake, especially if you know someone, if they have cell phone service, tell them to get off the lake. You don't want to be caught in this thunderstorm out on Tappan Lake, as this is moving towards that area along State Route 250. If you're familiar from that location coming out of Denison, going towards Tappan Lake, through Deersville, this is where that storm's kind of riding along State Route 250 and moving towards the Tappan Lake area in Harrison County, and it will be moving towards areas between Scioto, Deersville, south of Bowerston, really taking more of an aim again towards the Tappan Lake area. So especially if you know you live near Tappan Lake, you need to be seeking shelter, as this tornado warning does remain in effect until 5:30 p.m. And again, currently located over Yorksville, and what really prompted this was a couple radar feature, not only in rotation, but what we call the hook echo, which again you can see showing up here. This was when it was really prompted, the more of a rotation indicated back looking towards Janae-Hutton. And you can obviously see, you might guess what we're talking about with a hook echo. That would be this right here. And that's whenever you see this looking at live radar, it's a good indication that there's some rotation in the storm, especially when we do combine it with velocity. This is the typical product wherever you see a tornado warning that's issued where it says radar indicated rotation. This is the product that's used. Keep in mind, velocity is the fancy term for wind speed and direction. We're looking at not only the wind speed, but we're looking more at the direction here. Green indicates winds blowing towards the radar site. Our radar site's Pittsburgh. Red would indicate away. And if we were to draw that, this is where we'd get that rotation. And it did happen to line up with that hook echo that we were just showing on radar. This is the rotation that was near Janae-Hutton. And again, now as we track this, moving through Yorksville area, thankfully the rotation overall has looked to weaken, but the tornado warning does remain in effect until 5:30. Again, the storm now moving out of Yorksville area, taking more of an aim towards Tappan Lake, Deersville, that location right along State Route 250. As the storm is moving to the east-southeast, it'll be impacting more of the Tappan Lake area rather than Bowerston. It'll be moving towards Deersville, Tappan Lake area, moving through Stillwater, right now moving over State Route 800, but it's going to start to impact more of State Route 250 as it moves towards the to and through the Tappan Lake area. And again, this tornado warning remains in effect until 5:30. So if you're tuning in from the Tappan Lake region, if you live close to Tappan Lake, and you're wondering what to do in this situation with this tornado warning issued, here's some safety tips. Well, obviously, some of this is common sense, right? We want to get indoors. We don't want to be caught outside in this thunderstorm. But here's some other good tips for you. Once you're inside, you want to seek the lowest floor. Now, that basement's the best. Not all of us have that. You just want to get to the lowest floor. So if you're in a two-story home, get to that first floor, and you want to be seeking the most interior portion of that first floor. If you have an interior room, it's the best. That's ideal. And even in strong tornadoes, the interior room manages to hold up pretty well in the event of a tornado. So the interior room is the best. Obviously, basement's going to be best. You want to overall avoid the windows. You don't want to be near a window in that situation. Again, it's not always ideal, right? Even in the basement, sometimes it could be hard to avoid the windows. But if you try to give yourself enough space between the windows and try to avoid sheltering next to a window, that's going to be your safest bet. In the event that you're tuning in from such like a mobile home, obviously sturdy structure is ideal. Mobile homes really aren't in the event of a tornado, but there are certainly some things to do to increase your chances to stay safe. You still want to be trying to seek that interior portion of like a mobile home, maybe even within a bathtub. If you have like a twin mattress, something that you can easily grab and throw over yourself, a bicycle helmet nearby, anything that you can kind of help to protect yourself, right? You want levels of protection. That's the whole idea of the interior room. You want the most walls between you and the outdoors. So those are some safety tips. If you aren't tuning in near the Tappan Lake area with this tornado warning in effect, those are some safety tips that you can take to stay safe. And this tornado warning does remain in effect. You can see that storm is now moving to the southeast of Uricksville. So this is moving out of Uricksville, and again, it's really taking aim towards the Tappan Lake region. That's where it's taking aim, and when we look at radar product here, there's the hook echo that initially prompted this tornado warning, and now we're looking like we're seeing another one. So definitely wanted to be seeking shelter. Again, nearing Tappan Lake, Deersville, Stillwater, these are the locations if you're tuning in. But near State Route 800, 250 in the eastern portion of Tuscarawas County, or if you have to be tuning in into the northwestern portion of Harrison County, those are the two counties that you want to be seeking shelter. Yes, you can see a sliver there of Carroll County is under the tornado warning, but the portion of the storm that's rotating is not in Carroll County. So there's really no concern if you're tuning in from Carroll County. This is more Harrison and Tuscarawas County. If you're tuning in from those two counties, and if you live near Tappan Lake, Deersville area, if you're living near Uricksville, Janaden-Hutton, you've likely already dealt with this storm, but those are the locations where if you live close to those locations, there's good odds that this storm is very close to you, and you may very well be under that tornado warning, which still extends until 5:30. Let's go to our velocity product here and see if we could pick apart any more rotation of this storm. And certainly not seeing a whole lot, not as good of a signature as what we did see looking closer towards Janaden-Hutton when this warning was initially issued. It's still getting radar indicating some higher winds in spots. You can see the highest winds radar's indicating that's where that blue is. That would be near Stillwater, where radar's indicating some of those higher winds. And again, this is going towards Stillwater, Deersville, Tappan Lake. Those locations that, close to, if not under that tornado warning until 5:30 p.m. Looking back at nearest radar, again, this tornado warning in effect for another 9 minutes yet, has not been canceled. The tornado warning does remain in effect. And this storm moving through Janaden-Hutton, Uricksville area, it's past those locations at this point. It's pushing out of those locations. Now it's going to be impacting locations towards Stillwater, Tappan Lake, Deersville. Those are the locations where the storm is heading to, if not currently impacting. Certainly don't want to be caught out on the water with this storm as it moves through those locations. And you can see if you continue to track towards the east-southeast a bit, it'll be moving to near Deersville, not only Deersville, but not too far from Nottingham either, looking into Harrison County. And if you were broaden our view a bit more as this continues to move towards the east-southeast, obviously if you were to draw the line, this eventually would be moving towards the Cadiz area. So we will have to keep an eye on this storm as it continues to push not only into but through Harrison County. Not a bad idea. You want to really keep an eye on the storm if you're tuning in around Cadiz. Again, this is really going to start to impact more of just solely Harrison County as the storm pushes out of Tuscarawas County. It's going to be impacting more of the heart of Harrison County as the storm continues to push towards the east-southeast. And this tornado warning, we have 8 more minutes yet with this tornado warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. The National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh is continuing this tornado warning at this hour. And again, the tornado warning does include Carroll County, but really the portion of the storm we're concerned about is going to be centered closer towards Stillwater, Deersville, Tappan Lake. That's the area of the storm that's most concerning. And specifically, even looking more towards Stillwater at this time is the most concerning portion of this storm. Still into Tuscarawas County, but this storm is now crossing over from Tuscarawas and into Harrison County. This tornado warning again in effect until 5:30 p.m. Looking at the velocity, still getting some high winds. Again, this is more of the high winds around Stillwater. is where we're seeing that. That would be the area of greatest concern at this time. And this would be then moving to east-southeast. It would be moving towards Nottingham, Deersville area. Still not far from Tappan Lake by any means. And this would be moving then more exclusively into Harrison County as it continues to push out of Tuscarawas County. That tornado warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. And again, if you're tuning in from these locations, whether it be Deersville, Tappan Lake, Stillwater, towards Nottingham, in general, a lot of areas into western Harrison County. Now, this does not extend as far south as Freeport. This would be areas north of Freeport. As we're looking north of Freeport towards Nottingham, Stillwater. If you know you live anywhere near Tappan Lake, if you know you live just south of Tappan Lake, west of Tappan Lake, you're likely very close, if not under this tornado warning. And again, if you know you live near Nottingham, Deersville, if you know you live north of Freeport along State Route 800, looking at those locations, we've got to watch as that's where the storm is going to be going as it moves towards the east-southeast as it starts to impact areas. Right now, Stillwater, but it'll be moving towards Steersville, Nottingham area, and eventually taking aim, looking closer towards Cadiz as this continues to now move out of Tuscarawas and really more exclusively into Harrison County. Let's go back and look at the latest on radar. Radar, the storm, it's really on the fringe of this polygon now at this point. We have 6 more minutes of this tornado warning. We'll see if they issue another tornado warning as this storm does move out of Tuscarawas and into the western portion of Harrison County. Again, the area of concern with this storm is going to be centered closer to between Tappan, Stillwater, towards Deersville, kind of that location in general. If you're tuning in, if you know you live near Tappan, Stillwater, Deersville, those are the locations where you want to be seeking shelter with this tornado warning in effect until 5:30 p.m. And then, of course, if we were to look a little bit further to the east-southeast, areas towards Nottingham, this would be north of Freeport, but areas towards Nottingham and eventually looking even closer towards Cadiz. That's where this storm is going to be going. So certainly want to keep weather aware if you're tuning in near Cadiz, as that's the general direction that this storm will be heading. This tornado warning in effect. We got 5 more minutes of this warning in effect. And again, it's never too late to seek shelter. If you're just now tuning in, you want some safety tips on seeking shelter, some common sense in some of these, but some may be helpful here. Obviously, when you get indoors, you want to avoid the windows, so don't try to seek shelter too close to a window. Interior room is always the best. It doesn't even have to be the basement. If you're in a 2-story home, just get to your first floor, and if you have an interior room, that's an ideal spot. It's a very safe place to be. Now, not all of us have that luxury, right? But you still want to try to find the most interior portion of the lowest floor that you have in your home. Mobile home is a lot less safe than what a sturdy structure would be, but even in the event of tuning in a mobile home, there are certain steps you can take to try to increase your chances of safety in the event of a tornado touching down. That would still be to try to get into an interior portion. You maybe even try to seek shelter in the bathtub or in the hallway, the interior portion of a mobile home. And really in a mobile home to help up your odds of safety, if you can grab like a twin-size mattress, something small that you can still throw over yourself that can help protect you from debris. If you happen to have like a bicycle helmet nearby, anything that you can strap on to help protect you in the event of a tornado, as really you're trying to protect yourself from the debris, right? That's the whole idea of the interior room. You've got the most walls between you and the outdoors. You're trying to protect yourself from debris in the event of a tornado. That's the deadly aspect of the tornado, is the amount of debris that gets thrown around. You got to think of those projectiles getting thrown 100 plus miles per hour in your direction, how deadly that can be. So that's the whole idea of seeking shelter and getting the interior room, getting into the basement if you have one, avoiding the windows, avoiding a garage door, avoiding those areas where the debris, the wind can get in easier into your home. That's where you want to be in the event of a tornado. Now we have 3 more minutes here. It's 5:27, and we have this tornado warning in effect until 5:30. And we have 3 more minutes here. And now looking at the radar image here, we have that same hook echo. So I'm not going to be surprised with this still present, this hook echo feature if they don't go ahead and issue another tornado warning, as this is radar would indicate as some rotation on radar. This is the same that we had saw when this tornado warning was initially issued, looking closer towards Janaden-Hutton in Tuscarawas County. And now we still have this feature on radar. And this is moving between Tappan Lake, Stillwater, Deersville. If you're near, if not in one of those locations, you still want to be seeking shelter. Yes, this tornado warning is only in effect for a couple more minutes, but we are still having a hook echo showed up here on the nearest radar. We look at our velocity, and we're looking at some rotation. Still looking kind of broad in this regard, which is good, right? We don't want to see a tight rotation in addition to that hook echo on radar. This is a good site, but still getting some rotation, even though it looks pretty broad and weak in general, still over the same location where we're seeing that hook echo. So this would be, again, looking about between the areas of Deersville, Stillwater, Tappan Lake. This is going to be impacting areas towards Nottingham, Deersville, as this continues to move towards the east-southeast. But we have 2 more minutes of this tornado warning, and it looks like the National Weather Service office of Pittsburgh is not going to continue this, but we are still seeing, well, radars indicate a bit of a rotation with this storm. Still certainly looking at the velocity product, still pretty broad, which is good, right? If we were to have tight rotation with that hook echo, that would be a very bad sign, but at least we're looking at rotation still pretty broad, so that is good. And looking like the hook echo there is falling apart on the latest radar run. Another good sign. Both good signs for us as we track this storm, moving out of Stillwater now and moving through Tappan, as well as Deersville, moving through the Tappan Lake area. So this is good signs of what we're seeing as the storm continues to push out of Tuscarawas, now pretty much exclusively in Harrison County with this tornado warning. At 5:30, we got 1 more minute, and we'll see if they issue another tornado warning. It doesn't look like they're going to. With velocity looking pretty broad, there's really not much, with comparison. Keep in mind what we were seeing with this warning issued, much more of a pronounced couplet. You can see better of the red and blues there, right? Keep in mind the blue is just a higher speed of the green, so this would indicate winds blowing towards Pittsburgh, red away. This is a little bit more rotation, especially not nearly as broad as when we were to compare it. If we're what we're looking at right now, again, go to look at what we're looking at right now, you can see not much of the red, right? So this is pretty broad rotation moving into Harrison County. So good signs there. Still had some, looking on radar, some indications of a hook echo, which would indicate rotation, but that in addition to velocity, this is falling apart a bit, and that in addition to velocity looking pretty broad. So the rotation looks to be pretty broad. Hook echo's falling apart. So what was possibly some tight rotation around Junaid and Hutton, which prompted that tornado warning, is beginning to fall apart, and now we have no active tornado warning in effect for those locations. Severe thunderstorm warning just popped up though until 6 o'clock. We're not gonna stay on for this, but just to give you a heads up, the severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 6 o'clock. This is impacting areas towards West Liberty, Mount Pleasant. This is into northern Ohio County, southern Burke County, and then into southern Jefferson County and northeastern portion of Belmont County until 6 o'clock. We're looking at the potential for some damaging winds would be the main concern for that severe thunderstorm warning.